Well,
Is everyone agreeing to that? Do we need to announce that?
I'm sorry.
If we want to discuss the budget in the next workshop on the 7th before
You're gonna,
he goes on vacation?
Or does it need to, do we need to announce the workshop date? Do we just need to say a subsequent?
it's been, the workshops have been advertised. We're not gonna take any action during the workshop.
But was it advertised for this purpose or just, we've got a bunch of other stuff?
No, it was advertised for the purpose of the butterscotch
Right,
continuance. And we did talk about that we might have the budget at that time.
Well, hold on. Kathy, the workshops were advertised at the beginning of the year as workshops. Okay. So separately, we announced at the last butterscotch meeting that we're gonna hold that. date, So we didn't need to advertise that. Now, with regard to the budget, if you're not going to vote on the budget, then we don't need to advertise that workshop, because you're
Right.
just working, having a discussion,
Right.
but you're not voting on it. So we don't need to advertise it. It'll be okay to.
Right, we wouldn't vote on it till November.
now we're showing the youth again. It will be a long meeting if we have to do butterscotch and then review the budget.
I'm sure it will, but,
I'm just,
okay, can we make a decision on that at a later date then? And
Yeah,
we don't need to say anything further?
correct.
Okay,
But let me
Alright.
just say one thing about the audit. So typically, what we should do is accept the audit. Are you gonna have the auditor come in and make a presentation?
I think Chris, who's his name?
Chris
Nellie.
Yeah,
Chris Hart from
we
Maryland.
would have him give a short.
Should have him come in to make a presentation about the budget
And did we
and then
get
vote
both
to
of
accept it.
them?
I mean, about the audit and then vote to accept the audit.
Did we get both of them?
And that would be at the next regular meeting?
Which vote?
which could be on the 7th or no?
No, it's a regular meeting.
You have to
Or
move it
both
to
to accept.
November.
When-
So that'll be at the next regular meeting?
Yes,
That'll be quicker.
yeah.
Thank you.
So we'd vote to accept the audit in the next meeting, and then what about the budget?
Which is,
Talk about that,
which is under separate process.
can we talk about that in the workshop,
Yeah.
since we're not voting? on it?
Yeah,
Does that mean I can post the budget for another month? I mean, the audit.
no, we can post it. We can post it in advance so you can all see it. But formally,
Yeah.
auditors should come in
Yeah,
and
that's
talk
fine.
about it and then we can.
Yeah, I didn't know if you
Yeah.
were waiting to
No,
accept it to post.
no, just make sure we did the formality.
It's a little irregular, for sure.
It's been so long since we've done it.
Yeah.
I forgot what we were doing.
Well-
We think that you deserve to see it as soon as you can, given all that has gone on, so. And the only other announcement thing I just want to make, mention of, if things don't look quite right, as you were all mentioning earlier about, the bills list. We had, timing is everything, right? We had an issue on Friday with the QuickBooks when we were trying to get everything, or Thursday, I think it might even be.
Actually, it started on Wednesdays when QuickBooks required us to update the QuickBooks that we have. And in doing so, we needed to reboot QuickBooks, and in doing so, we got locked out of QuickBooks for 3 days. So that's why there is no bills list. Kathy did a yeoman effort and she did have one, but it was too late in the day for the board to review, so there is no bills list for approval tonight.
Yeah, we're not comfortable with what we have approving it until it's complete, so, so we'll be ratifying some of the checks that have to go out on the next meeting. So do you want to get to the treasurer while we're talking about it?
No, that's fine. I
Back
mean,
to the
Why don't you
hearing?
just do the approval of the minutes
Okay,
and then we'll go to the hearing.
okay, absolutely. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes?
I so,
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I,
Minutes are approved. And that would be I'm sorry, it's the minutes of August 19th, since we didn't state that. So I'm going to turn it over then to the public hearing.
Okay, so this point of the hearing is to discuss and give opportunity for public comment with regard to the proposed special events ordinance, which was discussed over the summer. I believe it was in July, or June or July, and it's been revised, and that version, the new version, last version was dated July the 2nd, 2024. And that's available, been available for review by the public, and so, and the public hearing is to hear comment, anyone's comment with regard to this ordinance.
This one says revised 8/15/24.
So that might be the most revised one, that I probably don't have one.
That's what I have.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I grabbed the wrong one.
Yeah, and that's when we agreed to start
Right,
putting that on the
right.
bottom too, so
Yeah.
that's another indicator, that's correct.
That's why we have it. That's good.
We
Which one?
we were smart, right?
8/15
But
is the
that's
one.
not the correct one?
It is,
Oh.
it's more recent than the, I grabbed my file, but this,
Okay, we just
version.
had this trouble with this
Yeah.
ordinance before.
well, that's why we have them dated now. Anyway, so it's revised 8/15. So,
Okay,
is there any,
Julia?
anyone wish to come up and make a comment about the ordinance?
Set up here.
Hello, Julia Brandel.
Hello.
I'm here actually speaking on behalf of the horse show because we want to make sure that this event ordinance, while we do understand, at least I understand, some of the people on the board at the horse show understand, some don't, that it has to happen. We want to make sure that it doesn't stop us from doing business the way we have been doing business, as we are literally an event space. It is what we do. It is our business. We're not renting it out one day for fun to somebody who wants to just, have some sort of an event. This is literally how we make a lot of our money to keep the grounds going. So that being said, the first thing I want to point out is Ed Bacon had gotten up in a meeting, maybe back in July, and asked that we remove the word sponsor from the ordinance. He's worried that our sponsors, the people that sponsor the horse show or sponsor the carnival or sponsor maybe somebody else's event, will then think that they will be held liable. As we have sponsors several places in this, we have it actually on page 1 under definitions. We have sponsoring organization on page 2 under permittee. We have, let's see, I think I got them all. On page 4, under section 4, it says unless the sponsors and the owner of the property. We also have it, I think there's like one more place where it's popped up in here. So is there another word that we can use besides sponsor?
Or is there a definition that you can put in your form that says in the horseshoe documents, it is meant to sponsor means this? I don't know.
Why not define sponsor in the ordinance?
Yeah, I mean,
Well.
I thought we dealt.
I thought we took it out and I thought we were going to put something else in there. Page 10, it's on,
Let's go through them one by one.
yeah,
Because they have different meanings, so we took it out in a lot of places. And used other words.
okay.
There may be reasons why I left it in, so why don't we go through them?
Okay.
Well, it says, like the first one, applicant, any person, entity, and or sponsoring organization.
What page are you on?
Page 1,
Down at the bottom.
down at the bottom.
Under apple.
Section 2, under definitions, the first definition.
Or who seeks a special event permit from the township to conduct or sponsor an event. So it's a sponsoring organization. So if you are an organization who is seeking a permit,
Yep.
that word can be used in a number of different ways. So it's not a sponsor of an event.
Well, I understand that, but I'm just saying,
You yourself are seeking the permit. If you're seeking the permit, whatever we call you, you're responsible under this ordinance if you're seeking the permit. you're the organization that's trying to obtain the permit,
Okay.
not someone who's buying advertisement or.
Well, I just want to make,
making
yeah. Well, we
contributions
just,
or-
like, if we could make sure that it's,
Yeah.
that somehow that's clear. I mean, and in all honesty, I'm only saying this because this is something that Ed had brought up. I don't think any of our sponsors are actually going to read the ordinance or care about the ordinances. They're not actually going to be doing anything. It was just a question that had been brought up. So I just want to make sure that,
Right, and we took the
It's-
definition of sponsor out.
okay, because it,
Right, so that, I mean, that
So-
should have negated it.
Yeah, but doesn't that make it more ambiguous?
No, I don't think so, because if you look at what the definition of sponsor was, someone who promotes or conducts. And we're not, that was the concern, that a sponsor could be, using the word sponsor could be confused with someone who conducts or promotes, and here, we're saying no. If you are if you're an applicant or you're conducting it and you're getting the permit, then you are responsible under this ordinance. If you are sponsoring in the form of providing money as you
Financial
think,
or in-kind
yeah,
assistance.
but you're not the actual entity that's doing it, then you're not responsible.
Well, could you, we explicitly say something about, this doesn't apply to those providing financial or any kind of assistance to the event or something to that?
Well, I suppose we could, but why don't we just go through them all, what other ones you found that are.
There's another one on two.
yeah, that's the same sort of context, I think.
Under permittee.
Right. Entity or any sponsoring organization which has been issued. So that's the same context. It says, and then permit required. So on page 4, unless the sponsors and the owner of the property or person in charge.
Or first sentence,
Yeah, section 4, permit requirements.
end of the first line. You got it.
Yeah, jointly apply for, so you gotta jointly apply for and be granted a permit. So we can call you what you want. It's not, again, it's trying to say that you've got to do something toward getting the permit to be responsible under the ordinance. It's just not paying money.
I'm just,
Okay, I get you. Yeah, I understand. Go ahead.
I mean, what if we called it promoter?
Promoter be, that's the word I was thinking of. It sounds like a promoter.
Right, like right here, I think it would work to call it the promoter instead of a sponsor.
Where it's here.
On 4.
page 4, we're talking about applicant.
Section 4, no special event shall be held within the boundaries of the township unless the promoter and the owner of the property. How do you feel about that, Dave?
Well, I don't like the word promoter. I'm gonna use the word applicant.
Okay. Even better.
We'll try to use the word applicant where we meet, and that's what I try.
I feel like these first 2 instances are very vague.
Yeah.
Okay, then, then on the same, if applicant would work there, yeah.
Yeah.
Then the same, page 10D2. Would applicant be the right word there?
Yeah. We can make that applicant.
Okay. Okay, I think that gets rid of my sponsor questions.
All right.
Excellent.
Okay, where'd my little sticky note go? Oh no, I lost it. On the back of one of my pages here, I think. As it goes on. Oh, there it is. Okay. So, page 2, person in charge of the property, the owner of the president premises or his agent or such other person. So the horse show is run by an all-volunteer board. So who are we actually looking for this person in charge of property? I don't even know. The Ludwig's Corner Horse Show Association. Right, right. So this will also be another question later on. So does that mean that any and all of the board are responsible?
Well, how are you organized? Are you in a LLC? Are you how are you collectively organized?
So we're a 501c3.
How are you?
Yeah, I don't think we're an LLC. I'll have to find out exactly how we're organized. See, this is the question because this is going to come up a few times in here where we need to figure out who is actually responsible.
Well, the point is that trying to say that the owner of the premises or his agent is the person in charge of the property.
Right.
We all agree with that.
Right. Yeah. We just need to know amongst us, I guess, who that person is. Whether it's all of us collectively, because if we're getting fined or thrown in jail, are we all getting fined or thrown in jail together? Or is there one person?
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think that that's a factor of you and what.
Okay.
how you organize.
So we're going to have to determine who that is
Yeah.
and how we're organized. Okay. All right.
And there's a way around it because if you designate an agent,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
that satisfies us and that's the person that we work through.
Like,
You can just.
And that's how most corporations or entities will
Okay.
deal with this, is they will designate an agent to represent them.
Okay. All right. We're going to have to figure that out then.
I'm sure you can.
Oh, I don't know about that. That's a really good question. Can we?
But
Okay.
You have to remember too that we didn't write this to fit the horse show.
Oh, I know. I'm just trying to, and I know like we've talked about it, like there's going to be growing pains and we're going to have to see we're going to be working through it. I mean, I've talked to Matt about it. It's like, this is something we're going to have to figure out. It's going to take a long time the first year and everything, but we just need to make sure that it's not going to affect the way that we do business is what we're concerned about. Because as I said, this is our business.
what do you see as the growing pains?
That's an extra cost if you have to hire an agent.
No.
Well, maybe, or they just, or we designate somebody from the board becomes the agent. That's going to be, well, you're not on the board anymore. Okay. Okay.
Georgia Karen.
Yeah, we'll have to work on that. We have a board meeting on Thursday night. So that's something I guess I'll have to bring up to the board. Okay, so my next question is, and Matt's not here to talk about this. So page 4, when we talked about, Ed had brought up, can we have like an omnibus permit or something like that? So how will we determine which events actually fall under that general permit? And our big question was, when we were thinking about this, we were thinking about the smaller one-day horse shows that we hold on the grounds. Now, it's not, we have a few different entities that rent the grounds from us that hold these one-day horse shows. Will all of these entities be covered under this general permit, or will each different entity, even if they're holding multiple events, say they hold 4 horse shows there, we have somebody that does 4 shows a year, are they going to have to get one permit? Or can the horse show itself get one permit for one-day horse shows at the beginning of the year? It says in here that we can't assign the permit, or is there going to be a way, if we can do it that way, to have maybe some sort of an addendum to the permit for each different show that has the contact person, the person's phone number, that particular show's insurance? How is that going to work?
Well, I would think that either the horse show grounds will be the permittee
Right?
and will then, under that general permit, say, this is the list of events we're going to host this year.
Right.
Because they're all the same.
The same type of event, same number of people, same sort of thing.
The idea.
But we have several events that we're renting the grounds, but it's like being rented by a different
I
entity.
get that. And
Well-
we have to list them and say, we're asking the township for a general permit because we're going to have a dozen events this year.
Right.
Or that's almost similar.
They're all one-day horse shows. They're all doing the same exact thing.
Chester County Horse People.
Right.
But, you know, whatever.
So is that, what I'm saying is that going to be like, if we apply for a general permit in February or whenever we know when all of our horse shows are, can we add names to that list as we book horse shows? What will be the way to do that?
Well, I would think so, because the whole idea here is that the township wants to be able to inspect your facilities and know that you have the, whatever
Right.
safety facilities are in place.
Right.
So as long as you provide the fairground layout
Yep.
for these particular events,
Mm-hmm.
going to be in this particular location, and here's the whatever other facilities are available
Right.
that meet the conditions that the township's concerned about, but you're just going to do it multiple times. It's just going to be different companies or associations running them. I
Right.
think that's the whole idea behind this.
Right.
You just have, and I think it may take the first year to work it out.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I
That's
think,
not part of the ordinance, then that's handled administratively.
No, well, it says here, general permit may be obtained for multiple special events occurring on the same property with which are similar in use and with similar facilities. It's section.
I'm on
3.
page 4, section 3.
Yeah, we added that as a result of that comment.
Right, for this.
Right.
reason.
For this reason. I just want to know how it's going to be handled. That's all I'm saying. Right, but if you go down, a separate permit shall be required for each special event, and then it says general permit may be used.
We're definitely not expecting you to be fully booked by January 1.
No, I mean, whenever the
Definitely very fluid.
Right.
45 days prior to, our first show, we'll make sure we have the application in. This is what the shows are. But if we have shows, and we definitely want to make sure that the township has each individual horse show, that we want to make sure they have their insurance as well. And I'm just thinking, if it were me, if I were doing it, I would want an addendum for each different horse show. A 1-page addendum. I think it might not be a bad idea that lists, this is Pickering, Pickering Pony Show. This is the person who runs Pickering Pony Show. This is check. We have their insurance and everything like that. We can include it on our general application that these are all the different horse shows, but then there needs to be like a 1-page backup form that we can give you guys that has all the pertinent information.
Administrative, that's.
Yeah.
It is administrative, but I just want to make sure that there's a way to get through it.
Here.
Okay. All right. Next thing is, which we spoke a little bit about, normal event hours. If you go to the event hours, that is on page 8. Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday, 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. I don't think we have,
Unless advance approval is obtained.
okay,
Like,
so.
in your permit, you would say, we need permission to have different hours from these hours, and then that would be approved if it's reasonable.
Well, every horse show, people start arriving on the grounds as soon as the sun comes up, and the horse shows usually start at 7:30 or 8 o'clock in the morning.
Why not have their egg muffin or whatever?
Right, well, just want to make sure that we're not going to all of a sudden run into a problem where the township's going to come back and say, nope, sorry, you can't start till 10 o'clock. Not that I foresee it happening, but it says it right here in the ordinance that that you guys want to pass, that's what the rule is.
Well, I don't think.
So how do we get around that?
I'm not sure this pertains to setup.
Oh, no.
Who says-
No, horses are in the ring at 7:30 a.m.
They're in the ring practicing, there's not an announcer.
Oh, yeah, there is.
Yeah,
I would,
Oh, yeah, there is.
Classes, it's.
Yep. Yeah,
I would say that because, one size doesn't fit all,
right,
and this is intended to apply to other places and other.
sure.
So that we would leave this, but this is where the horse show would say, we need special approval.
Right.
Because we're a little different here.
And none of the events that we host on Sundays start at 1.
Yeah.
They mostly start at 10 a.m. as
I
well.
would say in your request for the permit each year, you would say we need to start at 7 or 7:30.
Why don't we make it easier? Why don't we make them have to do it every year? We could say 10 o'clock on Sunday.
Well, I think 1 o'clock on Sundays is kind of hard. Almost every single event that we have starts at 10 o'clock. It's just the horse shows that start a little bit earlier. 1 o'clock on Sunday seems really late. Why is it? Where did that come from?
I have no idea. Remember, this didn't come.
Did somebody forget to put a 0 in there?
This didn't come through.
Possible.
our-
Well, it says PM, so.
Oh, PM, okay.
Not likely.
Is there any way we can change that to 10 a.m. like Saturday? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. It's not like it has anything to do with the noise ordinance or anything like that. Well, I'm just saying, I'm saying for like in general, like almost all of our stuff starts at 10.
Yeah, I
The stuff that's not horse
Events
shows.
are going to start before 1 anyway.
Huh?
Most events are going to.
Yeah, I don't know where 1 o'clock came from.
I don't
Fairly late.
have any problem changing it. It's up to the board if you want to
I'm
make
pretty sure
that
it's
change.
an arbitrary decision by the board.
Well, why don't we just make it consistent that they all have a 10 o'clock starting time? I wouldn't say to do anything earlier because it is a
Let
Sunday.
me chime in here. So I don't know, but perhaps this reflects events that are near churches and people are in church and they don't want the noise from an event that's happening near.
Because it's Sunday.
Because it's Sunday
Right.
morning.
Yeah.
I don't know,
get
but
out of
that's-
the car at church. I love hearing the horse show across the valley.
Mhm.
So there'll be some of us who would be missing it.
Okay.
One of my rules is don't worry about the neighbors. They gotta worry about themselves.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I would be perfectly fine with changing it to 10 a.m.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm fine. yeah.
Just remember that it
Consensus of that?
applies to all events everywhere in the township where they could be. That's. You're looking in, don't just look in the.
Oh, I know.
Or show.
Well, I know, no, I understand. I mean, but everything opens at 10.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, there's nothing that doesn't open at 10 o'clock on a Sunday.
That's the.
If it's gonna be open on Sunday, it's gonna be open at 10.
That's the board's pleasure. That's fine.
Okay.
all right, I could make a motion to change the
Just wait.
hour.
Yeah, I think we can do it at the end.
Don't need that now, we
Yeah.
just let Dave catch it,
We're gonna go over all the changes
okay?
at the end.
So we're gonna
Here.
put that
I mean-
missing zero in and change it to
AM.
AM.
I got that.
Okay, me too.
Okay, so the next one that I have is page 512 regarding the evidence that all permits and licenses are required by any federal, state and local ordinances, blah, blah, blah. Where are we to display these things? That was a question that came from Sarah Jane.
Well, where are we?
Where to display the license?
Page 512.
I think you
Mine
should
goes on
have,
the same.
you've got some kind of a central place.
We
where
would
you
totally-
Yeah,
guys-
there's a billboard.
Yeah, no. I have
Right
the
at the end of the
actual.
park.
Okay.
But you want
Okay.
this one?
I
But seriously,
it
you
that way.
I got it here, yeah.
That's for a spot where you leave things. for-
We don't have an office, like we don't have an office.
Okay.
So I'm saying when I got the permits for the show this year, I left them in the finance trailer. And that's fine for the finance trailer, but for all other events where we don't have,
Road trip.
do we need to have a billboard? Is that what you're saying?
No, I think it's, you have it.
Readily available if somebody asks for it?
You have.
Okay. All right, I'm good with that.
On
Or-
site,
Or you
Even
can
the
supply,
finance guy.
you can supply them in advance to the township.
yeah. You want.
That would
No,
work
this is
too.
This is for the permit, like that you give us.
This is to display the license.
Display the,
Right, but
yeah.
You're talking about all permits and
Oh,
licenses.
yeah, well, we'll have all of that, but I'm saying when we
Right.
get the permit, like you guys give us the permit and then
Right.
like it's like Matt handed it to me, it was a card and then he pulled out of the parking lot. So
Usually
Anyway.
if you know where it is and someone asks. you can-
as long as the agent knows where it is,
And that's an important part
Yeah.
to add into your.
right? The page 7, where it talks about this, where we go into reasons that they can deny your permit actually. But the question was, or the page 7, section 7A, number 10, where it says the applicant failed to submit a fire safety and evacuation plan for review by the Board of Supervisors or the appropriate township official. Is it possible for us to have one evacuation plan for the horse show that we can submit at the beginning of the year that would apply to all events?
I think that's reasonable, because you've got a very big facility and you can lay out, come in here, or if the incident is here, go out here.
Right.
But you could make several of those and use that bulletin board or finance trailer.
Right, I'm just worried that it's so that every different event that we have there doesn't have to start at start and do their own little evacuation plan.
And
Well,
I think besides chief and the fire chief and our emergency operations guy, they can approve a multi-event plan.
And that's the only, one of the ideas behind having the general permit. so you
Right.
can Plan that this.
Right, well, it's for all of the events, like,
Right, and what I was going to say is that if you have some events that are so different from others,
Like the
where
concerts.
it could affect the flow of traffic and so on, that.
right,
Then I don't know that you can say that we're gonna have one that's gonna.
right, okay.
you know.
Right.
So that
All
would
right.
be a
But
special-
if we give everybody a copy of the one that we have, as long as it applies to whatever their event is, we're okay. They don't have to come up with their own.
Keep adding it to your application.
I know. Well, yeah, it's gonna be.
Fencing, and then you need to.
Right. Yeah, and if we do, Jim, if we do another concert, we probably won't do anything the size of the Country Spirit USA concert, but if we do something else, there will be a promoter that we'll make sure that they're doing all the things that they need to do.
I mean, I think it makes sense to have this fire safety and evacuation plan be thought out for most of the operations that you have there.
Right,
That you can just say, this is our operations, these are our horse shows, and this is how we're gonna evacuate people.
right.
That's the plan. If you have something special, that's gonna have to have its own.
I mean, as of right now, we don't have anything other than our 3-day show that requires off-site parking. We only park the trailers over at the firehouse. So we don't have, it's not like we have any off-site parking. So everything is happening and contained there. And we have several entrances, which I think we've got 5 entrances or exits
Right.
leading out to all different roads and all, one on Route 100, 2 on Ant Mill Road, 2 on 401. Hold on. Oh, that one is the agent that we have to designate. Basically, Sarah Jane wanted to know who goes to jail.
You all can decide.
She's the president,
Gets
so,
The big bucks, right?
right? The big bucks, the big percentage of nothing. She said, do we split it up and we all serve a couple of days? I think that's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anyone else with comments?
Thank you. George?
George Dolcinos. Julia covered most of the stuff. I had a question on page 3 where it says A6. It just says where people are likely to attend. Kind of seems like a random sentence fragment.
But didn't we kill something
Yeah,
that was
because it was supposed
unacceptable?
to be 50. We had 50 people are elected to that.
We took the number out.
So it's,
Why don't you just strike the whole line at this point? I mean,
well, because the whole point of it is to say we're trying to control events where there's gonna be a
Gathering.
large number of people gathering. So,
okay, it's
Yeah.
kind of obvious otherwise. What kind of events you have where people don't go?
some or all of the following factors. So you gotta read the special event definition. It goes, some or all the following factors. So.
Yeah, I don't think it adds anything, but
Where people are
whatever.
likely to attend a birthday party, no, it's some
Well,
of these other
people are
things.
definitely likely to attend a birthday.
Yeah, but
party.
that's not in and of itself enough to call it a special event, 'cause it's gotta be some or all.
Okay,
Some-
whatever, it's one line.
Okay.
Let's see, Julia covered. Start time. The section where it says insurance,
What page, Joe? What section?
9, bottom of 8 and then 9. So insurance certificates are only for events on township property, right? To list the township as an insured.
I think so.
So, I mean, typically in a, like the horse show, they'll list, or our renters will list the horse show as an insured. But it doesn't really say, it's not clear here that every event with a special event permit.
Well, I understand that the township is giving you a permit now, the township is sort of approving the event.
So the township has to be insured on,
Township
or-
theoretically could be charged, could be sued.
is that seriously
Sure, you think about it, we're now taking the role of
okay?
issuing a permit and saying, we've reviewed it for safety reasons, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So now the township, someone could say, well, the township didn't do its job in making sure this event complied with the township requirement.
So that's definitely gonna be an additional cost for somebody, I think.
Not typically. I mean, I've gotten
Yeah.
certificates,
List multiple insureds,
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
but the same,
Your agent should be able to handle that.
they can add it, but
If they
for the
could.
same amount,
Yeah.
as long as the amount's the same. Yeah,
so not separately.
yeah, just an additional insured on a policy.
Okay, so. So for the horse show, for the general permit. That would apply too, then. If we get the general permit, then renters of the horse show grounds need to list the horse show grounds as an insured and West Vincent Township as an insured. Okay,
That's a bootstrap thing, but I think it's a wise bootstrap thing for the township.
sponsor was covered, fees.
Where's-
Have you given any?
yeah.
Do you have any, I'm sorry, page 11, but this is a general question. It says the fee shall cover actual or full costs. Do you have any idea what that range is?
I don't know that anyone's done that analysis yet, that I've seen.
So if this gets approved in 5 days, will that analysis be done?
Should that be in here or should it it's
Well,
always be a separate fee
what
schedule?
has to happen is that once this is approved, then the township has to include that fee structure in its township list of fees,
Right,
which they will do beginning of the year.
so I guess I would suggest they can just take effect at the beginning of the year. Well, we definitely have more events coming at the horse show for the balance of the year.
Right.
And if this gets approved
Well,
in
then
5 days, you're gonna have that figured out.
the township's gonna have to do that. Right. What is the appropriate?
So what is that number gonna be?
Someone in the township typically looks to see what's involved in reviewing the plans. And tries to understand how many man hours are involved and what the cost.
Yeah, but we have, I think, 3 events coming up between now and October.
Well, I don't think it's retroactive.
But
They're all-
the events haven't happened. They're booked.
Did you get your permits or?
I don't know where they are on that, but are you gonna go with the old permit fee until the end of the year, or do you commit to do that?
Matt
Matt
looked
has
at
something
those
planned,
costs.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever fee's in place now will be the fee that's in place until there's a new fee in place. So that the answer, I mean, that's just
Okay.
municipal government, we can't do things retroactively.
Yeah. Okay, now, so right now, the permit is, it says it's a temporary zoning permit. This will be a special event permit.
Right. I would suggest that if this is adopted, like the township should have staff review that for purposes of determining what the appropriate fees would be.
Okay, so what do we tell the people that have booked events, but
The fees.
haven't,
are listed.
or haven't applied? That's the other question. I mean, do you have a permit application ready to go, or the temporary zoning, I don't know if you've looked at it, the temporary zoning application is kind of,
Yeah, there's gonna have to be a special event application created. To my knowledge.
I understand, but what's gonna happen in the next,
Well, would
Month.
it be fair to say we keep it the same through the end of the year for what they're?
Well, this is
And then
in
we
place
can-
now. I mean, to enforce this ordinance, you would then have a special event application. So it wouldn't be that hard for the township to put one together. So when an application comes in, we'll create a special event
And
application and
if we haven't changed the fees, the current fees stand. Even,
well, I guess in name, the fee is different.
we
So
could,
temporary.
yeah, for instance, if we don't have the time or the ability to figure out a new fee yet, we can just accept the current fee for the zoning permits as the fee until we adopt.
Okay.
a new one.
Okay, I guess my only concern is there was quite a long list of items that the applicant had to do or provide, and you know, the whole section 5 application is several pages here, and is that gonna be embodied into a, you know, a permit application that we can direct people to in
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
reasonable
it'll have
time
to-
from now?
It'll have to be, yeah. These are the list of items you need to take what's in here and put it in a.
Would it be done like within a week?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dave's gonna come in and help if you guys don't get it done.
We
George
can-
doesn't believe.
We can cut and paste with the best of them.
Yeah. Doesn't believe.
Okay,
I think it can be done. These are the requirements. Here's the list.
okay,
I would like to make a statement regarding the fees, if I could. It's not directly in this ordinance, but one of the things that we've talked about was the fee for the tents that were over 40 feet, and we kind of went around.
400 square feet, are you
400.
talking about that?
Yeah, 40 by 40, right? Isn't that what it was? I think it was.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
if you want to
So-
talk about that now, I can give you all the background that I know.
Well-
Anything bigger than 20 by 20 because Matt includes the.
The states, right,
In
and
the calculation.
And that was something that, I had not found anyone else who agrees with that other than Matt. So I personally think that that's onerous. And I would like us to see that, we discuss that with the fee schedule, that not be required.
So I mean, it is in the fire code. The fire code says 400 square,
In excess, it's
over a
in
400
excess.
square feet with a wall, if the tent has a side wall.
Mm-hmm.
If the tent doesn't have a side wall, I believe the number goes up to 700 square feet.
Right,
But that,
and most of the time they're open anyway, so.
well, yeah,
I think that that's something that we want to look very closely at and decide.
You're talking about,
How you all feel about it.
But the
Yes.
fire code gets in the way.
yeah,
right?
you're talking
No.
about,
Matt gets in the way of
What?
interpreting the fire code.
okay, we're not gonna tell our fire marshal, our code enforcement how to,
No, I understand.
we're gonna be real careful about that. So we can look at that. But that's not for this ordinance. That's not for the ordinance, it's for his
I
interpretation.
agree, it's not for.
Right, right,
But
it just goes to
I'm
the
glad you
fees,
brought
and
that
you're
up,
saying
because
you're
it is an
concerned
issue.
about the fee schedule. And I think
Yeah,
that makes a big difference in an organization like yours that
Well, yeah.
has
so-
that many of those tents that are.
Really
built by-
quickly. So we paid, I think, $600 for our permit. And I mean, and I'm not saying anything negative. Matt was there for maybe 45 minutes inspecting our tents.
Does that include the propane?
Just tent, no propane.
Tanks, not the propane tanks.
I don't even know if he looked at the propane tanks.
Okay.
But it was just tents. It was the tent inspection. and He was there for maybe 45
And
minutes.
that's something to be considered by the township when they adopt a fee for this.
Mhm.
yeah. I
So either
just-
the fee
well,
lower or, I think we need to look at that because I don't
Jackie
think it's right.
said when she was
suddenly
here,
jump them up like that.
when Jackie back in May, I think she said that was planned before the next fee schedule update at the end of the year, that there was gonna be an assessment
Mhm.
of the actual,
And I
Cost.
believe she and Matt were working on those sorts of things, so maybe Matt can. What's his name? Matt has some of the.
yeah, they all changed last year, though. I'm not sure if anyone, it seems kind of
They
arbitrary.
went up a lot last year because they hadn't been touched and they felt it was out of touch.
Right.
And,
I think-
but this is an issue that I think from the beginning, we all were not sure about whether or not that was the right thing to do with the tests.
Okay,
And that's why we batched them. So it's
okay,
evolving.
yeah,
and
I
we're Looking
understand.
at it and we're looking at it from the same point of view that you are, that we don't want to suddenly take something that is unnecessary and make it a
Yeah.
cost center.
Yeah, for example, just quickly on the tent, there's a permit cost where Jason or whoever does it verifies that the fire certificate,
Make sure you provide.
the fire certificate and file it and so forth. And then there's the inspection cost.
Right.
And I don't know how, I don't know how much time you allocate of his time. Is it a half hour to look at the permit and file it? I don't know. It's same, I would think the same thing for Matt or whoever the inspector is, an hourly rate, you figure. comes out to 1 or 5, his hourly rate. 1 hour probably covers all of it, so,
That's how they go about doing it. That's how they should be
yeah.
doing it. What's the
Okay,
reasonable amount of
okay,
time?
we agree on that, so
Yeah,
let's do
what's the
it.
reasonable amount of time it takes them to do what they do for permit?
Okay, let's get that done then. Okay, last thing, I think. This is more of just saving waste text, where it says waivers can be granted for 2 reasons, and then the third reason is, or for any other reason deemed appropriate by the board. Seems like there's no point in listing A and B. This is on page 11. No point in listing A and B if C is for any reason deemed appropriate by the board.
Just a catch all.
Save a tree, print line.
Well, where it says all ordinances or parts of the ordinance which are inconsistent, is that what you're talking about?
No, on,
What do you have?
at the bottom of page 11, it says,
Oh, I see. All right.
based on a showing of the positive impact, blah, 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 B, civic something, C, or any other reason. Maybe you could just eliminate 3 lines and say the board may grant it at its discretion or something.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying, but I think it's better to, doesn't require the staff to take it to the board if you satisfy the other.
Oh. So the staff is gonna make a decision on the waiver.
Could happen, yeah.
Okay.
Saying
Yeah,
it,
hopefully every
Right.
event doesn't come to the board, right?
right.
I
think
they'll
that's
all
the
have
point.
positive impact.
Okay, that's it for me.
Anyone else have any comments on the special events one? Okay. Oh, would you like to make a comment?
Your peripheral vision.
Good.
I have a thank you to Julia and George. We rarely have people interested in our ordinances enough to give us such detailed comments and to come back and hold us to things we said before. So I very appreciate it. So come again and keep doing it.
Any member of the board have any other comments before we close the hearing?
And I just wanted, one more time, let's just look at that Sunday at 10 o'clock thing.
We're
for a
gonna do that.
second.
We're gonna do that when we adopt the ordinance.
Well, I was just gonna say, just thinking about it for a second, because is there any other things that are in the works that could potentially happen at 10 o'clock that would be too early?
Oh, you want to reconsider that?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, I just want to make sure we're thinking about that, and we're talking to the butterscotch about, right? Yeah, I don't know, who else could do something earlier than 10 o'clock that might be unsavory to their neighbors on a Sunday?
Earlier than 10 o'clock or earlier than 1 o'clock?
Well, we just said we might change it to 10, so I'm
Right, okay,
saying,
right.
is 10 too early for, let's say, I don't know, I'm trying to think, music somewhere
Right.
or in the neighbor,
Doesn't
right?
the hootenanny need to get an event permit?
I think so. They certainly tell us about it.
Well, you can leave it at 1 and when the horse show comes in, they can ask for permission to start earlier. I mean, you're asking for permission to start earlier on the other days, so you might as well ask for Sunday as well.
Every other event that we hold there on a Sunday starts at 10 o'clock. I mean, like we just had the
Right.
art show all weekend long, that was 10
Right.
o'clock. We're not gonna book anything that. I mean, we had one thing, I think, that started in the afternoon.
Right.
That was it.
But things like the rabies clinic will still want to start earlier.
Right,
And
Same,
when
only-
we did our flea market.
late market, that was early.
What do you think?
Well,
10's fine.
Okay,
10 is fine.
okay.
all right.
Yeah, 75%, remind me of that.
All right. Any other comments before we close the hearing? Hearing none, we'll consider the hearing closed and then, next item, don't mean to take over for Madam Chairwoman.
Of course.
But if you're going to consider adoption, I would suggest the following changes based upon comments tonight on section 4, which is would change the word sponsor to applicant in the first paragraph of section 4. And change the Sunday start time from 1 p.m. to 10 a.m. And on section 10, paragraph D2, change the word sponsors to applicants. And they're the changes that I had. So with that,
I make a motion
We
with
make a-
said changes, to approve. Ordinance number 209, conduct of special events.
And Dave, can I just confirm,
Wait,
were we
wait.
studying
Did you
1 and 2?
owe us information?
Were we studying that 1 and 2, we were saying we were leaving the sponsors?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right, I just wanted to make sure that. was-
Judge Brown owe us the name of the agent.
No.
No.
No,
So they
not
do
until,
it-
not until we.
Not until they make an
we apply.
application, yeah.
Okay, was there something else that you knew that we might want to include in here?
I think I got all your comments.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just the whole, under the general application, like the,
General
like
permit.
making, under the general permit, making sure that that is, you know,
General,
that
Yeah.
we'll know that we have, that there's a way to include each different horse show that we have coming through there. And I
Right,
mean, obviously, we have to make this part of our lease. So we're gonna have to figure out how to, you know, ordinance for ordinary people so that they understand it all when they're doing it, so that, you know, hopefully the application will be self-explanatory enough that all of the information that we're gonna need, like, we don't, you know, the one comment that I forgot to say was like in the overnight, like, because people sometimes stay overnight, like we have security people that stay overnight. Is there gonna be a box that they can check that's gonna say, is anybody going to be on the grounds overnight? Check the box, because they're not gonna read the whole entire ordinance, and then somebody's gonna stay on the grounds overnight and they're gonna get in trouble for doing that. Just wanna make sure that the whole process is laid out so that people understand when they're doing the application, all the things that they need to do.
and that's a good point. I think that's something that's gonna be worked through by the township on creating the application. Which I think would be helpful to have comments about those involved, about our application process to make it user-friendly and.
Well, it's almost like the application should be giving, if you have to answer a question and you don't know the answer to that question as the applicant, you need to figure it out. Because that's something that's in the ordinance that you need to know about. So it's not like, a lot of times when you do an application, that's what actually alerts you to things that you need to do.
Right.
Have you gotten your this? Check. Oh gosh, I need that. Let me find one of those. So I don't know, yeah.
I think that can happen. I think that can happen.
I have one more thing. It's not based on the ordinance text or anything, but just a scenario. So I guess, what about, because I have personal experience with this, the hunt club some leaves from various places in the township when they hunt occasionally on Sundays, Saturdays, whatever it would be. So they come and park their trailers in a field somewhere in the township and set off from there, you know, with permission of the landowner, obviously.
Would that be something that would get a waiver?
If they put their schedule on their website, is that a public event?
No.
I
It's
don't
not.
know enough about how, when you say, so is anyone then can show up, or is it? When they,
Well,
in the hunt club
does anyone
world,
show up? I don't know. I'm just saying, are they
Not-
gonna get in
are
traffic?
they invited
Typically,
to be, are they invited to be part of this hunt?
No,
Well, what happens if they post on Facebook, we're having, you know?
Right.
We're
That's-
hunting this weekend.
Right.
We're leaving from XYZ.
You should
Yeah.
get spectators.
I don't think we've seen
No,
that.
but I
have we?
would say it's happening Chester County Day.
Oh, what is that?
That was a public. event.
I don't know that that necessarily falls under the special event ordinance, but it could, it's depending on what they're doing, like how they're gathering and where they're gathering.
If they're putting up bleachers, then
It could.
They don't put up
Maybe.
bleachers, but if people. I mean, they've done it and they've done it on my property
Right.
on Chester County Day. Now, am I gonna have to
No, it's their
Insurance
event
policy
choice.
indemnifying the township if they get an event
If,
from it or?
if they, are judged, if it's judged to be a special event,
Well, it is, if you look at. the
it may or
ordinance.
may not be a special event. I'm not sure they're gathering.
Then
It
it would certainly are.
Well,
gathering.
may or may not be a special event on our ordinance, and if it is, then all the regulations under that ordinance apply. So, yeah, there would have to be an application, there have to be some insurance, et cetera.
Okay.
But the point of this is there going to be a gathering of people in a place where there could be fire or panic? That's what this is all about. It's like making sure people are safe when there's a large number of people gathering in a confined space. So, you know, when they go on these hunts, and they come back and then have a tent where they're all gathering,
No,
that's,
a lot of
that, you know,
vehicles, a lot of people.
well, there's a lot of vehicles in any parking lot, you know, that's not necessarily a special event, but it's the idea behind this is to protect, you know, fire and panic primarily.
So, and
like
George, I
Julie.
think it's a hunt club event. It's not your event or the township event. It is, they are just choosing a different
Yeah.
start location.
You might be wise to make sure they have insurance as they're running and
Oh, they've got
they're,
insurance.
you know, covering you, and they're on your property and someone gets hurt. Yeah. Generally,
Julia?
Yeah, I think this is the perfect example of who you should grant a waiver to, and I think that you should just talk to the hunt club and have them do the application and grant some sort of a waiver. And it's gonna be the same thing, it's the same sort of event, they do the same thing, they just leave from different locations. So what they do is they all come, they bring their horses, they bring their trailers, and then they go out on a big, huge trail ride all over the countryside, and they go over this trail, down this road, and all the things, and then they come back to the same place where the trailers were, and then they all pack up and they all leave.
And it's
So-
all West Hits.
Right,
And
and
it's,
I mean, we can go on and on about every scenario in the
Right.
world, but I
and if
think
they
we,
apply, they apply, if they don't,
Yeah.
they don't, and that's.
Right.
but
That's,
we have a motion on the table. Do we have a second?
We have one.
I'm sure it's
yeah, a second.
And a second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
anybody. remember.
motion carried. I think we just passed an event ordinance.
There you go.
Awesome, thank you.
now let's see how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep us posted.
To be continued, right? So I think that we're totally out of order here. So no presentations, no announcements. We did have our police report already. Jim, are you comfortable with the treasurer's report, or do we need to hold that
No,
completely?
we can do the treasurer's
Okay.
report. These are the balances in various funds as of August 30th, 2024. General fund, $1,783,873.07. Capital project reserve fund, $2,513,934.71. Capital equipment fund, $263,190.05. Capital road fund, $2,108,210.03. The non-uniform pension, $50,628.45. Payroll, $88,245. Total, $6,808,081.31. In terms of restricted township funds, the ARPA fund, $130,899.67. The open space fund, $4,661,475.52. Liquid fuel funds, $390,152.95 for a subtotal of $5,182,528.14. Non-township funds, escrow funds, also called rebill, $864,500.33. The sewer fund, $28,042.78. A subtotal of $892,543.11. Grand total is $12,883,152.56.
I move to approve the treasurer's report as read.
And I don't think we need to. I didn't think we needed to make a motion. for the
Nope.
treasurer's report.
You don't have to, but you can if you want.
But since you did, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we'll approve it.
Public comment.
Sure.
Sorry, we skipped you. Come on up.
Come on up.
I'm not gonna stand in the middle and turn my back to everybody, but I can do this or just talk. And if anyone- Can't hear me,
Well-
let me know.
Well, we did put it there because the idea is you're supposed to be talking to us.
Okay.
And we're trying to record you.
But we also want people to be able to, anyway. A number of things. First, Jim, thank you very much for stepping in. You're really helping out the township. Tough situation. So a couple of questions here on the summary of funds. This is really helpful to have the comparison through August to a year ago. Just notice that that's through July. It should be, I believe, through either the headers wrong or the totals.
No, it's, the header is correct. I did not compare it to August a year ago simply because of a lack of time.
Okay.
With the problems with QuickBooks, it just became difficult to get everything together within a short period of time.
Did you miss that announcement about what was going on with
I-
QuickBooks? Okay, so to make sure you were up to speed.
Why are there accumulated funds in payroll?
Well, this is.
Historically, there have been, and what happens is we fund payroll out of the general fund. And then every 2 weeks is payroll, and and the way it works is just automatically takes out the payroll out of that
So
fund.
you're putting it aside, like to pay by like the end of the period? Is that-
Right.
Like it's, so it would have been in one of these other funds, but it's,
It would have been in the general fund.
Yeah.
So what I've done is we transfer money usually every other payroll from the general fund to the payroll account
I
to make payroll.
I understand. This isn't a question for you, Jim. It's probably too big a conversation for right now, but we have almost $7 million in our open space fund. And I'm all for open space, but is there any way we could possibly spend 4.7? And it's gone up,
Yes, there is.
it's
Yes.
gone up 50%, right?
Absolutely.
You have to have a willing seller.
Well,
Okay.
and there are some things that we're working on. that-
And the other thing too, you need to realize is we have not yet in December, we pay principal on the bond issue, which was for open space. So one of the things that happens is that this does not reflect payments of principal, which are going to happen later in the year.
Okay. Maybe that's why there's such a huge increase from a year ago.
Well,
We just haven't had a lot of things close on that, but there's some things that are in the works right now.
And again, a QuickBooks issue, this is the report that was handed out for everybody to look at. Yeah. It's blank pages. Now, the rest of the information is later in the report, but then when you see it later, it's just numbers without.
Yeah, and it's a formatting problem and that was done late today, just trying to get something that was available.
And we talked about how maybe the budget shouldn't have been publicized yet, but we got copies of it out there. My only question is that first column, 2023 actual, was that actual year to date?
No,
So.
well, that's 2023 actual. So that's the entire,
For the
that's-
entire year.
for the entire year. That's correct.
It could say that, you know. That's all, thanks.
Thank you very much.
Jamie.
Yeah.
Two quick comments.
Absolutely.
Well, our question, one is question. So we are searching for a treasurer
Yes.
Yeah,
and how's,
would you like the job?
no,
Okay, just checking, you seem to have a penchant for it.
um. Oh, yes, the.
Is everybody
so-
afraid of this microphone here?
What's rude in the minute?
It is weird having back everybody.
Well,
That's the way most towns.
Take it off and do an
To
Elvis thing.
change.
So when we get to doing the bills list again, one thing we talked about previously, you weren't here, Jim, but I think Kathy knows that we expanded the formatting and in the memo field, we included it in the bills list. So the
Right.
memo field had some detail
Correct.
rather than just an invoice number. It said like,
Right. And one of the problems that we have had with QuickBooks is that is getting that memo line to print. So
okay,
we understand and we're working on it.
okay, so hopefully next month.
Yep.
All right, thank you.
So,
Yeah.
does QuickBooks really promote themselves as a municipal accounting?
No. No, QuickBooks is, they promote it as everyone in the world should be able to use QuickBooks.
Okay,
It's a
individuals,
standard.
all sorts of entities. Yeah.
All right, so Jim, you've missed a couple of years of me saying we have so much trouble with QuickBooks. Shouldn't we be using a different tool?
What else would you?
I don't know. I asked him.
I think when we get a new.
QuickBooks is
person,
pretty
they
much-
Might have an opinion. too.
Yeah, QuickBooks is pretty much the standard.
Yeah. but
and
they
most people
just
use it.
out For 3 days with an upload date.
Well, that issue was in some respect self-imposed.
Oh,
mean,
good.
Well, it happened primarily because you had a treasurer who left and you had a new treasurer come on.
Okay.
These things happen,
Right.
but we were able to get things back up within 3 days. And the problem that we ran into was we simply didn't have enough time to get the bills list done for today.
Well, and I think that some more proactive IT support would be a good idea.
And I don't disagree with that.
We'll look into that. So as far as the expenditures summary, we're going to just
Table it.
move on with that and take care of what we need to get ratified at the next meeting. Would you like to give us the manager's report, Jim?
There's really not too much to say other than a lot of effort was spent last week on financial matters, both the budget and attempting to get QuickBooks to work. But we're there and we have a draft budget. That's, I also, one of the further items on this. It is just that, it's a draft budget, but it does meet, as I understand, the charter of accounts. And it's something that I wanted to get to the board earlier as opposed to later. So for discussion.
Thank you very much. Okay, so may I have a motion to acknowledge receipt of the conditional use application for 1414 Birch Run Road LLC?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Do we have any questions or comments?
You have a summary of what that is.
It's a lot line change on the Aldrich property. The one with the
Yeah.
Ford that goes up there. It's a minor lot change between. Lot line change between two of the existing parcels.
Anyone else?
It's now on its way to the planning.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we just talked about the draft budget, so
Right.
let's get that. May I have a motion to approve the calculation of the minimum municipal obligation, the MMO, for 2025 in the amount of $110,651 and to approve the MMO for 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Oh, I'm sorry. Does anyone have a question on that? Comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passed. We also have a bid for Oz Property Builders for the 2025 snow removal in the estimated amount of $48,375. Do I have a motion on that?
So moved.
I'll second.
Any comments?
Hope we don't have to use them.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we also are authorizing the advertisement of the bid for construction at Opalani Park. Oh, did I miss one?
You
Okay.
should skip 9.
Oh, okay, I missed the motion to accept the bid for DNL Fleck for equipment rentals in the estimated amount of $126,900.
So moved.
Questions on that?
Yeah.
So
There's a whole laundry list of equipment,
Like,
including equipment that can be used for snow removal. It's plates, it's tampers, it's all sorts of equipment. And there's rates attached to each one and estimated hours, and we're not required to use any piece of equipment for any period of time. It's just that if we need pieces of equipment that we don't have here, we'd like to be able to rent them at a specified price. And that's what this is for.
So is that 126,900 is not, they're basically committing to sell it to you if you need it at that price, like,
Not
No,
sell, rent.
just-
I mean, rent it to you if you need
I
it
think
at
that's a
that price.
total.
That's correct.
So if you don't need it, you pay nothing.
That's correct. Just like with the snow bid, if
Yeah,
if it doesn't snows, we're not committed. It's just that there's certain pieces of equipment.
Yeah.
With or without an operator, and there's a rental charge associated with that piece of equipment.
You would like to see it
So-
right
You
there,
have the list of the charges.
So the,
right here.
so
Anyone?
what they're approving is the hourly rate for each piece of equipment. If you multiply it out by an estimated number of hours,
That's
and
what you get.
if we rented them all of
That's the
them,
max.
then you get that amount, but that's not what we're doing. Total amount, we're really,
Spending up to that amount if it was a worst case scenario.
yeah,
So
essentially,
they have an estimated hourly rate of each different piece.
yeah.
If you look at,
Right.
if you look at it, it's like some of them are 50 hours. some of them are 20
So
hours.
did we get a motion on that?
Yes, there was a motion.
And was it second? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes. And I would like to make a motion authorizing, I would like someone to make a motion authorizing the advertisement of the bid for construction at Opelani Park.
I so moved.
And I'll second.
Do we have any questions on that?
What about the building?
Ooh. But where's, this would be,
Pardon me, you said a building for.
no, yes, what are they building?
Well, what is it, in terms of what they're building, they're constructing trails, they're putting in pads for picnic tables and benches. They're constructing a
Gazebo,
gazebo,
outdoor
there's
classroom.
outdoor classroom, and there's also a
Layer.
very unusual tot lot that has been designed, which is part of it. So there's a lot of things that are going into this, and this is just allowing us to go out to bid to obtain bids on that whole package of construction.
And this is, we have $750,000 in grant money, which is, that is, what we're doing with it. This is a plan that's been in the works for a couple of years now. And we presented it recently. I believe it might be on the website somewhere, the last presentation. Do we know that, Kathy?
I don't know.
Any clue? But if you're interested, I would be happy to share the plans with you and anyone else who'd like to see them. Okay. Yeah. Okay. All right, anyone else? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And this is exciting to re-advertise the bid for construction of the Fellowship Trail.
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Any questions on that? And we are re-advertising because we did not get a satisfactory bid the last time, and this we feel is a better time of year. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that passes as well. And we have a motion to authorize the advertisement of the bid for road materials.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions on this? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Do we have any general public comments? All right, okay, well, how about a motion to adjourn then?
So moved. I'll second.
Adjourn. Thank you very much, everyone.
Kathy? Kathy?
Yeah.